if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Bigger power, yeah.
We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling dealing. Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Talking in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we focus on the promo. We don't do all the stuff everybody else does, reviewing Raw, reviewing Dynamite, reviewing, well, nobody cares about Collision, but all that other stuff, we don't talk about that. We talk about the promo. We hype the hype men, talk about the talkers, and pontificate on the promo. I'm here in Atlanta. You see, I got to rep the A all day. Not too far from me is Adrian down here repping UGA. What's going on, bro?
Always, man. What's happening, man? Peace to the chat.
Yep.
Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. We appreciate y'all.
For sure. And then all the way across the country in the City of Angels, we got Adelaide. What's going on, bro?
Hey, we're repping the GAs over there. I'm repping the UCLAs over here. Still coming out of that championship high from the women's basketball team.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's all we got. Got to hold on to.
Hey, that was a good team, man.
Yeah, very good team. Very good team. So if you're new to the channel, what we do is we sometimes one of us may bring 3 different promos and that nobody knows what we're gonna do. But today, with all the controversy that we've seen around Mania weekend and all these other weekends, whether it's a AEW weekend or whatever, and wrestlers getting approached, and it's celebrities in general, but we're going to focus in on what we talk about: pro wrestlers getting approached, whether at airports or restaurants or wherever, right? And everybody has mixed feelings on how do you approach them, how do you not approach them. Do you only save it for a WrestleCon? Do you only save it to a WWE World or a StarCast or something? But so I want to come to you first, Adrian. When you hear some of the stories you've heard, right? Let's don't go to the dramatic ones. We all know we have the fringe fans that are crazy in every single genre. It doesn't matter what it is.
Sure.
When you're looking at these guys, what's your thought process if you see somebody in an airport or outside of the wrestling realm of that bubble?
Okay.
How do you handle it?
Yeah. I mean, you set it up perfectly. If it's outside the wrestling realm, that means it's outside of business hours. And one thing that I've learned dealing with people, some more often not celebrities working in restaurants and stuff, Ken Griffey Jr. actually told me this. He said, Adrian, I don't want to talk about baseball. I know you're excited to talk about baseball with me, but I don't want to talk about it because would I come to your bar and want to talk to you about the newest vodka or something like that? I was like, yeah, probably, but I get your point, So when it's outside of business hours, whether you're at a con, like you said, or any backstage or anything like that, I kind of limit those interactions. And more often than not, especially the airport, because it's already hectic when it comes to timing and all that, I just try to put myself in their shoes. So if I do see someone in the airport, probably not gonna say anything. I'm definitely not gonna ask for a picture or anything like that. But in the rare instance where they are at an airport and they're chilling and I'm chilling, I'm probably going to say, yo, man, I'm a big fan and keep it moving. And that's it. That's all that needs to be done and said for me. So that's how I handle a lot of any of the pro wrestlers that I've come across as all these years as a fan.
Okay. All right. Adelaide, how do you handle it, or have you handled it?
Being in LA, you do get like the roving circus of just wrestling shows all the time. So you're bound to run into somebody, right? Generally, to Adrian's point, I try to keep my distance. I've learned over time. I can't say I was always fully like that. I'm not a autograph hound, meeting people at the airport at a terrible hour and whatnot. But I've been on the same flight. I've been in the same, literally in the same holding area for a flight with wrestlers, and it was a red eye, and it's been a couple of red eyes, and told my wife, look, I was like, oh yeah, such and such is there. And they look like tired. I'm like, at most, I might do the same thing. Never came to the opportunity. I wasn't sitting next to them or anything like that. There have been other occasions where, you know, maybe it's at a comedy club and they're there for a show and we're all lined up like anybody else. And I have approached them and they were very kind. But it all depends on also the level of notoriety that they have currently, right? I met a indie pro wrestler at a Target parking lot, and I approached her. I'm like, and my wife was with me, so the wife helps a lot to sort of disarm people, you know, in a way. And I approached her, I'm like, hey, I love your stuff, and had her Target bag. Like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've been recognized in public. That was her response.
Nice.
And got a little chit chat. Oh, saw you at the show, you know. Keep doing what you're doing, that type of deal. So I think you have to be responsible and have some level of emotional and social intelligence to realize when can I pick my spot. And sometimes a little, hey, here's to you, is good enough. You know, that's just make the other person feel good about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's good, especially from you have to judge it. And also, for me, it depends who it is and what I know about them. Like, I'll just use one. I have not had this situation, but I put myself in the situation. I've watched Kevin Owens tweets and different things where big Disney adult, right? Cody Rhodes, same thing. Matt Cardona, same thing. But I've seen Kevin Owens respond to people, say, if you see me, approach me at a park. He's like, he's like, no, I would rather you come say, hey. But I think the key is you can't be the crazy person.
Yeah.
But here's the flip side. This is my controversial take that people always get on me about. And this is celebrities in general. When they talk about, oh, I need my privacy, I need this. If you want privacy, don't wrestle, don't perform on the biggest stages in the world. If you love your art so much and that's all you're in it for, it's not the fame, it's not the money, it's not the millions of dollars. Perform down the street in Lawrenceville, Georgia at the Aurora Theater. If you don't want that celebrity, don't sell out Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Don't get on one of the highest rated shows on Monday or a highly rated show on a Wednesday or whatever it may be. There's a trade-off when they talk about when I get paid. You hear wrestlers say this, I'm not paid for my in-ring. I'm paid for my travel. I'm paid for my time. But you're also paid for your celebrity. So what comes along with that celebrity is having to deal with the public. Now, how you deal with that, there's levels. Again, we know there's all crazy fans in everything. It doesn't matter what it is. So that's disrespect, right? But you want, at some point, that's what comes with the job. It is what it is. It's so, utterly, you're the educational system.
Yeah.
When you leave your job and you're in the mall, I would imagine, having known other people, you have to be conscious of what you do, where you're at, what you're putting into your body, and things to that effect.
Oh, yeah.
How you act, because you don't know when there's students around, right?
100%.
And that's a part of the
100%.
responsibility, in my opinion, of of the career that you've chosen. If you don't want that type of career, work in a warehouse. I'm just saying. And so, like, I know a person who's a teacher, and she's like, the worst thing I ever did was live near this school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, because the pressure, and everywhere I go, I can't even be me. So, but it's what you choose, right? But again, I'm not saying that any of us get disrespectful. I don't mean that at all.
Yeah.
I don't like it when people approach them at, like, baggage claim. I haven't seen it.
Right.
I acknowledge people, like, if I see them, but I try to be aware of the surroundings. Like,
like, don't follow them into the restroom type of thing.
100%.
Right. But see, that's where my only pushback to your sentiment is. That makes sense. With fame comes the notoriety, comes people recognizing you, stuff like that. But these people are weird, man.
Oh,
Like I
Yes,
don't
it's
even
true.
want
100%.
to. I don't even want to open up that because you have these weirdos that are just doing all kind like stalkers, like the guy who was what was it, Sonya Deville,
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's the scariest one.
like
Yeah.
those are insane. Or hell, a couple years ago, do you remember the moron who jumped the gate and like literally speared Seth
Oh,
Rollins
Seth Rollins.
because
Yeah.
he got scammed,
Yeah.
thinking that Seth
right.
Rollins owed him like $200 or something.
Yeah.
Like you're dealing with these kind of people, like
Oh, yeah.
it's just weird, man.
That's the
So
exceptions.
I don't know.
But we know that's the exceptions. I mean, those are the exceptions, but
the exceptions will cost you your life.
they
though.
can. But at the same, but now that guy who jumped the rail, that's a huge exception, and stalkers are an exception. But there's,
Yeah.
and I'm just saying that when you put yourself out there, the more notoriety you get, the more.
Yeah.
But also, don't get it twisted. You making stupid money. You have a whole bunch of stuff. Again, I just sit back. I say it all the time when I hear celebrities just complaining. I'm like, you don't have to be on a
Right.
national level. You can, if you love acting that bad,
And security does exist for a reason.
100%. But also,
Oh.
go ahead, Adelie.
No, I was just going to tag it with basically the idea that also wrestling operates in this weird
Yes.
kind of gray zone where, okay, an actor's an actor, and some people have a hard time kind of telling the actor apart. Like they'll still see him for their role.
100%.
Wrestling, it's like
Sure.
unless you're really, really specific, like that's the character. On Twitter, my social media, I'm X, I'm the real person. But we know that they're trying to keep up kayfabe, and I'm sorry, but some of the fans, you know, maybe
it's like
the social
somebody
kills
walking
are
up
further
on
there.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, you snapped away half of the universe. You're an asshole.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I'm
shut
gonna
up.
punch Thanos or something.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, you know, you meet Pedro Pascal. He's on this big tour right now for Mandalorian, right, for the movie. And he's like the complete opposite. He's like a super, you know, he's the theater kid, completely through and through. But he's playing the gunslinger, and it's like people are Disney fans. Let's just put up Disney and Star Wars fans. Let's just put them in a different category over here. But it's again, there's this almost this feeling of you owe me because I'm a fan of the product. So you're right. There is some servitude there that some people feel that way. But at the same time, it's like, hey, like you're on TV, like nobody can help that. Like you're also benefiting from it.
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point, man, wrestling is weird because they're never looked at as actors until it's convenient to be looked at as actors.
Mm-hmm.
It's never I want to be part of SAG until it's convenient to want to be part of SAG. It's this dance of I'm Roman Reigns and I show up on your game day, and I'm Roman Reigns, and I show up on Fallon, and I'm Roman Reigns, but really I'm Joe. But wait, like Denzel shows up as Denzel.
Right.
Exactly.
Robert Downey Jr. shows up as Robert Downey Jr., not Tony Stark, right? So it is a weird place. Could you imagine if it was like this and it was true kayfabe like back in the 80s? Like,
I would fear for
that's
all
exhausting,
their lives,
bro.
Crazy.
man. I would fear for all their lives because these fans.
yes.
Because even if you look at it now, the only modern equivalent I can think of that still keeps it up is MJF. And these last round of press interviews, he's kind of dropping the act a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm just Max kind of thing.
I think because we've talked about it before, and hey, listeners and viewers, comment, because I'm a huge proponent that says kayfabe's not dead; it's just changed, and that's what I think. You know, all these behind the scenes things are. They manipulate us in a whole different way. I mean, we saw it. We saw retirement and then an unretirement that was never official either way, and it's 100%. That's straight kayfabe.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins' injury, straight kayfabe. And when people say, "Oh, this kayfabe's dead," no, it's not, because they got all of us, every single one of us, right? But Adelie, I'm gonna come to you about something. Tell us about a time that you did come up in contact with somebody, and a wrestler, if you have, even if it's at a con, like your interaction, positive, negative, or whatever. How did it go?
You know what? I'll share two because they're distinct years. There's almost like a decade between them in terms of how I felt approaching. And I felt a little weird about the first one, but again, it was at a comedy club, and I was with my buddy. We were there during the week, which is kind of hard, you know. During the week, it's always tough to catch stuff, and especially in Hollywood and whatnot. And we see in front of us, and I'm pretty certain because I didn't make her out. I didn't know her at the time very well. It was Becky Lynch. She was in line for the comedy show too. I know she was there for the show. It might have been Rena Shafir with her. I didn't recognize her because I wasn't following that super much. And it was like a little layover before the show started, so I went over like, hey, you know, and she wasn't the Becky Lynch WrestleMania, the man, right? She was NXT. She was just getting started and whatnot. So it was very low key, very approachable. Like, oh, hey, and like, you know, I was running a wrestling club. You know, told her about that. It's like, oh, awesome. Had my way. Told the waiter, hey, you know, get their table, get their drinks. That's it. That was a little thank you to them, right? Easy, right? Easy interaction, one and done. And my buddy was with me, like, who was that? Oh, it's a pro wrestler, whatever. The one I had more recently was trying to get into a wrestling show, a GCW show. And I said, I've said this before, it's Vikingo getting dressed in an alley. Yeah. It's an alley. Like, and he's like, you know, he's getting ready. I don't realize he's up for the main event. And I'm like, hey, Vikingo, I'm thinking he's just getting ready because there's a lot of wrestlers out there. Very nice dude. It's Mania weekend. Get the picture with him. This is pre-WWE, pre-everything, right? Mm-hmm. And nice dude, right? Not negative interactions. Would I have approached them if I knew I was going to get it away or they were negative? Of course not. Have I had negative interactions? 100%. And every time I tell the negative story, I preface it with the good stories because I'll never name the negative one unless we're off air, because then I will. But this was a paid appearance. This was not me just going up to someone. This is not me just approaching someone respectfully. This was a paid appearance, and the dude was rude. And the dude was, you know, he smiled for the camera. But after that, it was like, and I was like, hey, man, like, yeah. I get it. But at the same time, like, we're paying you money, at least, you know.
Yeah.
The hell, you know. And more often than not, when I have paid cash, I don't go in there with the presumption of saying, like, well, you have to smile for me. But, you know, at least, you know, mutual respect goes a long way. And I think 99% of the time, I've had nothing but positive interactions with pro wrestlers. Every time. Yeah. No matter the situation. Yeah. Except that one time.
Awesome.
That sucks, man.
Adrian, same thing. So any positive or negative interactions?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to meet a lot of wrestlers and interact with them because being here in Atlanta, you know, obviously a whole bunch of those WCW dudes, you know, a lot of the guys that work with DDP and, you know, and in fact, one of them is the guy that I'm going to talk about. They had a little person wrestling show that traveled, you know, nationally. And one late night it was there up in Marietta. I'm not expecting to see much of anybody. I'm just there for beer, laughs, and, you know, just to watch little people get down, you know. But at the bar, I see Buff Bagwell.
Oh.
And, you know, obviously he stands out, you know, he, especially at that time, nice in shape. But it's Buff Bagwell. You know Buff Bagwell. You see Buff Bagwell. But this is around the time where his reputation was a little bit shaky with a lot of fans. I've heard a number of fans talk about negative interactions with him. So me, I'm already drinking. I'm already having fun. I don't really want to get a cloud, you know, a dark cloud over my evening, you know. Plus, I'm a little bit of a hothead sometimes, and sometimes I want to, you know, if you disrespect me, they want to fight, you know, and I don't want that. But I tell the bartender, I say, hey, you mind getting a shot of whatever he was drinking at the time? I want to buy that guy a shot. I didn't say the guy's name. I just said, send him a shot. And if he asks tell him it's from this guy, that sort of thing. Just keeping it moving. I get my beer. He comes over and he's like, yo, man, I appreciate that. My name's Marcus or whatever, And I'm like, yeah, of course I know. Of course I know you, man. I just wanted to buy you a shot, let you know I really appreciate you. When I was growing up, I loved your gimmick. Respect to you. I'm just keeping it at that. He says, you want to take a picture? Like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm about to go back and finish up on the show. You enjoy your evening. I appreciate it. He's like, no, hell no. He calls over his girlfriend or his female companion. He says, take a picture of me and what's your name again? I said, Adrian. He's like, take a picture of me and my buddy Adrian. So we take a picture together. And he tells me, what's your number? And I'm like, my phone's dead. And he says, no. Give me your number and we'll send it to you. So then sure enough, the next morning when my phone, is open, I get a text. It was nice to meet you, man. And here's a picture or whatever. I appreciate fans like you. That was awesome. That was an awesome experience. I wasn't pressing for it. Also, I think I did come at the right angle of getting him some alcohol at a bar and keeping it pushing versus me just being, a super fan or whatever. And then it was a nice interaction. And whenever someone has something negative to say about the guy, I always bring that up. I always bring up that evening. I always bring up the fact that he not only pushed for us to take a picture, but he had his girl take a picture of us. She texts me the picture with a text message in the morning saying, it was a pleasure to meet you, man. I appreciate fans like you. That's an awesome experience, man. That's a lifetime experience, man. Shout out to Buff Bagwell.
That's cool. That's really cool. And yeah, you have heard a whole bunch of stories about him, right? But I think your approach was cool because it was very nonchalant, not in your face. Like, hey man, here's the shot. More like I send it to you. And so, I think that's the right way to do it, right? It's like, it's respectful.
Yeah.
And then he shows respect back. That's cool. I had a couple of different stories I was going to share, but I've been blessed as well, like to spend time with different wrestlers, and some of them are surreal. I know we talked about a bunch of interactions off air before, but one I had about a year ago was I'm sitting at Cracker Barrel, and I've told this one to you guys before, but I don't think I've ever told it on here. I'm sitting at Cracker Barrel, and all of a sudden, this dude kind of wheels by me. I'm like, that's Lex Luger. And this is right before the Hall of Fame. This is like right after, y'all, like right after he's announced for the Hall of Fame. And I'm like, that's Lex. Do I say something or do I not? All I want to say, because I love Lex. I was a Lex guy. Like I was, for me, Sting and Lex Luger here in WCW, and I was much more of a Lex Luger guy. And I was like, and I've met him before, a couple of times, but I was like, and I'm finishing up eating or whatever, and he's sitting down with an older couple, and then I guess his spouse or whatever. And I'm watching, and I'm like, I'm about to go, and they're not interacting or anything. And I'm like, I just go walk by and say, hey, Mr. Luger, I just wanted to congratulate you on the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to move it. I'm keeping it moving. I keep it low key. Yeah. And he stops. He goes, no, hang on. I was like, yeah. And he's like, are you a fan? I was like, yeah. I've always been a big fan. I just want to congratulate you, man. You well deserved. Like, and he's like, you want to take a picture? I said, no. I said, I just wanted to congratulate you. I didn't want to disturb you guys. I apologize for disturbing y'all. And his spouse has this smile on her face that she's like, she looks at him and she looks at me like, you have no idea how much this just meant to him.
You just made us freaking day, man.
And he goes, take the picture from me. I mean, what are you going to do? You take the picture.
Got it,
man.
And it was just so cool. It was just, it was quick. And, it was just really cool to see that. But I was like, Lex Luger at the Cracker Barrel. That was cool.
That's awesome.
Why I've met other wrestlers at Cracker Barrel, I don't understand that one either. But
Lex is cool, man. I've met him. He used to come to my restaurant quite often. And we grew a reputation, our, relationship, making fun, because my first time meeting him, I told him, I said, Mr. Luger, my name's Adrian Mitchell. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. You're hands down my least favorite horseman. And yes, I know about Paul Roma. And that always popped him. Just that line. And my boss at the time was like, why would you say that? And I'm like, look, he would get that.
Yeah.
Like, he gets my sense of humor. And sure enough, whenever he would come into the restaurant, he would say, Adrian. And I'm like, what's up, man? What's up? And he would just always invite me to come over. That's how I met Scott Hall initially.
Crazy.
That's how I met DDP. Like, those guys all lived in that area, like that Smyrna area at the time. So it was awesome, man, having that kind of rapport with guys like that.
That's cool. That's cool. And then
That's awesome, bro.
I did have one other one I wanted to say real quick because it kind of goes back to your Ken Griffey Jr. story. This was at WrestleCon. We were there together in Orlando, and I went to Abyss. And I know I told you guys this one before, but I had heard Abyss on a podcast before talking about what he did before wrestling. And there was a minor league hockey team here in Atlanta called the Atlanta Knights, who, when we say minor league, they're like AAA. Like, they're the next level down. They were the affiliate to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And they won the cup. They won championship. They were good. They were always good. But he worked for them.
Always.
And I just went up to him and said, Abyss, hey, man, I just want to let you know I was a huge fan of the Knights, and I heard you worked for him. And that dude's face lit up. Not have a word about wrestling. All we talked about was the Atlanta Knights for probably 10 to 15 minutes. And it was such a cool interaction. It's like, man, were you there the night that you won the championship? Yeah. He's like, man, that was the coolest crap. That dude came running down. We used to have a guy who would blow a bugle. He would come down and hit the glass and bounce off the glass. Championship night, he hits that glass. It broke.
No.
Dude went flying through the glass, hits. Like, we're talking stretchered out. Like, this is the beginning of the game. This is how we're starting. And it's like, oh, crap, because now you got to clean up the ice and everything, right?
Right.
And he's like, man, and then he came back at the end, which was true. He went to the hospital. And by the end of the night, he came back. He had a neck brace on. Legit. Like, this is not like a work. This is for real.
Yeah.
And he came back and he came down and he leaned up against that glass like that. And he blew the horn the best he could. But he was okay. But it was like, they said he had a pretty bad concussion. And we just talked about that. It was just so cool to have that interaction. To your point, Adrian, we didn't talk about wrestling. We didn't talk about their job. And it was just something that he knew that I knew. And then it was just that really cool thing. So, I think it's fun when you have those types of interactions that are totally different than what you expect. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
Because sometimes once you make that connection, you just never know. So I'm going to go first tonight. But what we're doing to everybody is we're bringing a promo of a wrestler that we did meet in person. But we also have to bring the picture of who we met. So I'll play the promo first. But my picture actually ties into my last story. Which is going to be an interesting tie-in. So this one right here, he was one of my favorite wrestlers. WCW, because again, Atlanta, y'all. I was WCW through and through. Yes, I love my WWF. Yes, I loved all the other stuff that was on Superstars of Wrestling on Joe Pedicino's night with the World Class and all that. But I was WCW through and through. Omni every month. And this was one of my favorites. And when he went to WWE, I'm like, I tried my best to support him all the way through, but damn, it was hard.
Man of world championship wrestling. And you know what I love about flamingos? They're so pretty. In fact, flamingos are almost as pretty as me. But there's a man named Scotty Flamingo who says he's prettier than me. Can you believe that? I've had numerous boxing matches, many wrestling matches, and look at this face. I'm so pretty. So what am I going to do? I'm going to kick his booty with my Tutti Frutti because I'm a bad man.
I love Johnny B. Bad. He was one of my favorites of all time, y'all.
Oh my God.
And I got so much crap from everybody that I knew. They're like, why do you like Johnny B. Bad? I'm like, I don't even know. I just love Johnny B. Bad. And so I got to come to you first. I don't know what you know about Johnny B. Bad. I know you know who Mark Merrow is, but
Sure.
seeing that, what's your thoughts?
it's just jarring because I mean my memories obviously of Mark Merrow are it's the Attitude Era, it's Sable, it's the whole thing, right? And to see him play up a character, basically doing Little Richard essentially, right? It's funny because it kind of looks like a jacked up Little Richard, like straight up, like like and he's playing it up and he's playing it kind of. I mean, it's not straight, but he's owning the character for what it is.
Oh, he's definitely not playing straight, man.
And no, that is substantially true.
Shout out to the homies.
Exactly. But man, the what is it, like the little rose, the blush on the ears. Yeah. But then it's like, oh, but he's super jacked too. It's like, I don't know. It's fun to go back to that era because then you know him, and eventually he's like motivational speaker and all that. And it's like clearly here's a dude who's like not unafraid of. He's the best parts of what pro wrestling is. Ultimately, it's like he's not afraid to just try this on, right? Even if it became something else. So, I know him now. Like now, there's action figures. There's all this stuff about what Johnny B. Bad was, but at the time, he's a character, and it was fun, and I can totally see why you like them because. Yeah, we would. Like I know we can. The three of us can appreciate what he is. But
have an appreciation. Wow.
Yeah, it's like we get it, and I think that's just the beautiful thing about wrestling. It's like I think even the hardened wrestling fans, I was like, just have fun, just let it go.
Right,
it's like,
right.
For sure.
It is what it is.
Adrian, what do you remember, if anything, about Johnny B. Bad?
I honestly, the only thing that I remember about Johnny B. Bad, because again, I was younger. Like Adelaide said, I more so remember Mark Merrow. The one thing I remember about Johnny B. Bad was legit people used to think he was black.
Yes.
I knew people who swore up and down the dude was black. I mean, just with the level of tan that some of those guys would have. But also he put on a really good impression of Little Richard, like Adelaide said, man. So that's what I remember about the character. What stands out to me about that promo or that minor promo is character and just full on buy-in. That character would garner so much attention in today's pro wrestling landscape, just because the look of his mannerisms. Even though some could deem it to be problematic to be to garner heat based on your mannerisms or all of that, but it's one of those things where it would be fun to embrace. It would be fun. Someone in today's wrestling, EFFY is someone who embraces that he's not just doing the 101 foundation pro wrestling gimmick. He's embracing the fact that he is queer. He's embracing the fact that he'll wear stockings, or he'll come out to Elton John. Probably one of my favorite Elton John songs. Like, EFFY is one of my favorite wrestlers because he embraces who he is. He embraces the fact that a lot of people are uncomfortable with what EFFY embraces. The big gay brunch, like all that kind of stuff. I love that because you're embracing who you are. And that may not have been Johnny B. Bad, but bringing it back to him, I just love the fact that he has so much buy-in on that character. And I know it garnered heat because in Atlanta around that time, like I know people were either hated him or people extremely loved him because of the character.
But what's funny
it
about
had to
that,
be one or the other.
He didn't have that much heat.
No,
because he played Little Richard. So he didn't play up the gold dust type stuff. He didn't do anything like that, right? He didn't cross any lines.
Yeah.
And quickly he became a babyface because people embraced him.
Okay.
And so it was more like, I think it was more like that character plus Little Richard's from here too. Let's don't get it twisted. He's from Georgia.
That's fair.
But
fair.
Because even if you go back, so originally he was managed by Teddy Long, if you guys don't know that. And
I didn't know that.
he was with Teddy Long for a while. And
Probably
so,
why people thought he was black also.
yeah, 100%. So there's Teddy Long managing Doom and Johnny B. Bad. You can't get much more opposites
That's wild.
than that.
Yeah, that is
That's
wild.
crazy.
That is wild. That's a wild faction.
But then he
That's a fun
but I
faction,
think
too.
quickly he just became a fan favorite. He had his little confetti guns and stuff like that. It was showmanship, and I think that was the connection he had. Kids loved him, and it just became that. And the lore is that Vince wanted that. He wanted Johnny B. Bad, but they could not get the character.
Wow.
Because WCW owned it. And
Crazy.
Vince seems a little bit more creative to figure out a little workaround on that.
But
That's interesting.
That's what he wanted. He wanted that charisma and all that kind of stuff. But I was so happy when he came to WWE, and I was like, all right, Wild Man, all right, this is cool. And I'm like, I don't understand it. Can we just have Johnny B. Bad back? I was like, can we please have this? But
instead of the boxer guy.
Then you went from Wild Man to the boxer to. I mean, I thought he did well with what he had. So, I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah.
But no, I just love Johnny B. Bad. I've always loved the flamboyant characters, the ones that are out there. Like, I just think, and the thing is about him, I think was, you knew he was a badass.
Right.
And through his promos, that one didn't show it, but some of the other ones I was looking at today, he mentioned his boxing. He mentioned being a Gold Glove and being pretty and all these different things. So there was a mix of he's legit too.
Okay.
So there was that, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I just looked at that promo just like in that space of that promo. It just with him saying, I'm gonna beat his booty with my Tutti Frutti. I was like, oh, yep. There.
The Tutti Frutti was his finishing maneuver, though.
Yeah.
The Tutti Frutti was his finishing maneuver.
Okay.
And do you know who he was talking about?
No.
Raven.
Scotty
Flamingo.
Yeah, Scotty Flamingo.
Yeah.
So I was like,
another dude.
Just watching that going,
wrestler
man,
that
just
met.
the characters of 1990s, early 90s WCW.
You got to give it up to the performers to just be like, leave something like that in the dust. And I mean, Raven himself just completely, just wildly different characters, right?
Yeah.
Totally different, right?
One of the most smart, intelligent guys in the business of all time.
Yep.
Man.
All right, so now I'm going to share the photo of one Johnny B. Bad, Greg Troxel.
That is crazy. Oh my gosh.
And how do I tie it in?
Gladiator.
No, the Atlanta Knights, which is who Abyss worked for.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that logo.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
So I don't even know where we were. I don't. Obviously, it's a WCW something. They have name tags on. It may have been a World of Wheels. I don't have any earthly idea where this was taken. And I just happened to come across it. This is one of the things I told the guys earlier, y'all. Everybody who's watching now, I just came across this picture yesterday and thought, oh, that's cool. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a good picture.
Awesome.
That's my my picture. And the other thing is, y'all have no idea what kind of crush I had on Missy Hyatt back in the day.
Well,
understandable.
Yeah.
Not now. back then. So oddly, or actually, I'll go to Adrian. Adrian, we're gonna come to you for your interaction.
All right, let's get our picture up first. We got Big Papa Pump.
Nice.
And I'm talking about myself as Big Papa Pump, but we got Scott Steiner and Adrian Mitchum there in New Orleans WrestleMania weekend at the TNA. What was it? A TNA Lucha Underground. It was a fun show. Scott was awesome. He was a good dude. He probably had the longest line out of everybody that was there, which is funny because he didn't perform. He was just there. And man, shout out to him. But the promo that I brought, because all of Scott Steiner promos are just compilations at this point because it's him. The promo that I brought has the legendary Mean Gene and Scott.
Halloween Havoc, Las Vegas, Nevada, available exclusively on pay-per-view. One match that I'm truly looking forward to seeing is the one that never got off the ground at Fall Brawl, thanks to Marcus Bagwell. The match I'm talking about, brother versus brother. Scott Steiner, come on in. You're going to be facing brother Rick Steiner just a little over a week from now. No more Buff Bagwell. You 86'd him last Monday on Nitro in Chicago.
Mean Gene, look at that arm. That is the largest arm in professional sports today.
That is a very hefty bicep.
You know, talking about Marcus Bagwell, see, one thing that Marcus Bagwell didn't understand is that the NWO, we're a bunch of cutthroats.
Thieves.
We're a band of thieves, and that anybody that doesn't understand that has to get out. Marcus didn't understand that. You see, when Marcus Buff was in my world, I was the stuff. He had a problem with that. I put him down, and the only reason I didn't hurt him any worse than I did was he had his poor, pathetic mother standing over him. So I got a message to all you Bagwells out there that want to stand up to Big Papa Pump. Stand in line. I'm going to knock you down, and I don't care if your mother's watching.
All right, let's talk about you and Rick Steiner. Brother Rick, a week from tomorrow night. What about this character, Chucky? What's he doing for you?
You heard Chucky. Chucky is a movie star, and he wants me in his next film, and that's all you need to know about it. As far as my brother goes, you know, everybody's making a big deal out of me wrestling my brother at Halloween Havoc, something I've done 1,000 times before, and I beat my brother like a dog. Come Halloween Havoc, I'm going to put the dog-faced gremlin's tail between his legs, and he's going to run scurrying off in the Las Vegas, Nevada desert. And I'm going to prove once again that Scott, Big Papa Pump, was always the leader of the Steiner brothers. You know, Mean Gene, you may call me cocky. Mm-hmm. People may call me arrogant.
They do.
But I'm just confident.
Not Scotty's best work, man. Not Scotty's best work, but it was fun. It was fun. It was fun.
To run and scurry. All right.
Yeah, man. Hey, I love some of our guys need timers.
Shout out to Mean Gene, man. I don't know how he kept the straight face throughout the whole thing. And then he's tagging like thieves. Here's the line. Here's the line.
Right. Trying to feed you, but Scotty's like, nah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say this. Nah. That's not gonna work. But yeah, that's Scott Steiner, man.
Man.
Some of our guys are best in compilations, and that's probably one of the main reasons why it was so challenging for me to bring a promo other than obviously Scott Steiner.
No, that's awesome.
That everyone always talks about.
We need to bring that promo every time people take wrestling too seriously and just cut to the part about Chucky, how he's treated like a real character.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. That was awesome.
But yeah, shout out to Big Papa Pump, man.
How was he in person? Like what was like? Did he give you like the time of day inside, or was it? I mean, it seems like it was quick.
He took his time. In the sense of like one thing when I meet these wrestlers, I do try to keep it brief.
Yeah,
and me and Greg have talked about it. It was more of a nice handshake. I introduce him, I give him my name, and I tell him I really do appreciate what you've done, because growing up I was a really huge fan, and I'm a huge fan of your career, and I appreciate you. And I normally keep it at that. If he notices something, normally like with shows like that, you got a longer line, so you're trying to keep it moving. But he did tell me that was a cool shirt. He was like, that's actually a cool shirt. Where'd you get that? And I basically told him, like, dude, the best wrestling shirts are from fans. It's not WCW shirts suck, WWE shirts suck. And he started laughing. But it was minor. It was a minor interaction, but it was a positive one. So, yeah.
That's cool. Cool.
Very cool. I think the interesting thing about watching his promo just then makes me think of promos today and how they've changed. We don't have that yeller and screamer like we did. They're much more conversational, a little bit less over the top. We have a few here and there, right? But not
And when they do the screaming, they get over. Like what's the guys AEW, the tag team out of lead? Was it
The Outrunners?
Outrunners? Like those guys got super over.
Oh
They
yeah.
were weird, but and seemed completely out of place.
Mm-hmm.
But they were over because they were funny. And then WWE, Rick Boogs, that guy.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Like, that dude did legit get over just because he seemed so out of place and bizarre. But those are all the things that we enjoyed as kids in pro wrestling.
Yeah, because back then that's all we had, that over and over and over. And it's funny watching that promo. What it puts me in the mindset is man, he was like WCW's version of the Warrior. Because his promos ain't make no sense.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like tangents everywhere.
Exactly. But I like Steiner's promos much better than Warrior.
Definitely.
All right, Lee, we're gonna pass it over to you for your picture and your promo.
I'll preface it with this, and y'all know that having been fortunate enough to be here in LA when Lucha Underground was basically the thing, right, for a while, and they were on El Rey, and everybody got El Rey, so that was weird. But eventually, they did make it to Netflix. Realistically, the first pro wrestling show as a series that you could stream wasn't WWE. It was actually Lucha Underground, and people tend to forget that. So the picture I'm going to bring today is actually I cropped it out, but it's actually my then girlfriend, now wife, is actually there with me. Went multiple times with friends, when with acquaintances and whatnot. And these tapings were awesome because they were really a TV production. But as fans, we brought that flavor, right? We brought the chance, we brought the energy, and everything you see in the quote unquote temple, and then the second place where they went to eventually. It was really the energy from the fans that really made that place, that took it over the top. World-class talent in the ring, right? You look at that roster, and I mean, look at Penta, right? He's on TV, Phoenix. You can go down the line of people that either were pillars in that time, or heck, even like in this clip that I'm going to bring for the roster, they even mentioned a kill shot, right? Swerve and the whole thing. So I'm going to bring this picture and I'm going to see if you recognize them, but I'll just straight up, because I have a funny story of what came of that day ultimately. And this is Marty the Moth Martinez at the time. I remember him. And he was a character, right? Through and through. He was kind of the serial killer guy. I remember he got so hot at one point that I think at least the online chatter was like, what if he went up against Bray Wyatt? Because Bray Wyatt was also doing his deal. These outside fringe guys, together. He was really nice, really cool, completely out of character, totally like just normal. He was so happy. He was so excited. And again, it was just this holding area where we were lined up like, hey, man. And he was just walking through. He was like, they're in production, so we're not quite at the ring yet. We're still in this holding area. It's like, hey, man, I really appreciate everything you're doing. Like, oh, hey, so happy to do it. And again, I was doing my videos for my pro wrestling club, so he did a little shout out to the kids. And in the video, which I won't get into because it's a little long here, but he's so excited. It's like, we're on Netflix now, and he's telling the kids like, your dreams can come true too, and one day you can be on TV. So this dude was just a real nice dude, and was just really happy to be there. Very different from his character. Day, I went to multiple tapings. So that same day, everything went fine. I went to a different taping, and this time I'm in line. Didn't stop him, but I noticed he stopped over to say hi to. He was walking through with a couple of people who ended up just waiting in line behind us. It was his parents.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
So he's like, hey, mom, dad, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go inside now. You guys here, they're going to sit you down. I end up sitting right in front of them. So I'm like sitting in front. They're like literally over my left shoulder. So at the time, I'm like, oh, is that your son? When we're chit-chatting, whatnot. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I'm just chatting like, you know what? No, congratulations, you guys did a great job of raising him or something like that. I said, in the waiting area, we're getting in line. We get in line, and it's a long taping. So, and they're there. They're there for the show.
Oh yeah. His
segment comes on, and at this point in Lucha Underground, which you'll see in the clip, he is beyond unhinged. I mean, in the beginning, is like kind of weird. Now he's like, driving stuff into people's foreheads, and so he's a total bad guy. Gets in the ring, and what do? Told the story before, but I'll say it again. I start booing him. mercilessly. I start yelling at him. I start insulting him. I'm being as loud as I can because it's Lucha Underground. You got to,
Sure,
right?
You got to, yeah.
I feel like I hit on my back, not once, but twice hard. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? His mom is hitting me. like,
So
don't you do that? Don't you do like no? And I had to turn and I dropped the character. I dropped the character. I'm like, no, it's okay. That means he's doing a good job. And her husband was like, kind of holding her back from hitting me again.
Oh,
and like her eyes lit up. It's like, oh, okay. I go back. I didn't boo him as hard this time, but anyway. So it was a fun interaction, and again, that dude's awesome. I know he had like some kind of back issue or something went on with an injury, but I would love to see that dude just flourish a little more beyond that show. But anyway, what we got was awesome, and what I'm going to bring is one of these great character promos that they would do. Lucha Underground was known for these really produced promos, and this is one of them. So here is Marty the Moth Martinez.
1, 2, 3, yes! Marty the Moth, the new Lucha Underground champion. Hi. Obviously you heard, I'm Marty the Moth Martinez. I'm here to bring Aztec pride to Lucha Underground. Wherever there's gold, you're gonna see the Moth tribe. Wherever there's war, wherever there's violence, you'll find the Moth tribe. But we're not doing it alone. No, stop. We're not doing it alone. We have a secret weapon. My sister, Mariposa. Part of the Moth tribe, so obviously looks come in the family. She's the deadliest luchadora in Lucha Underground, and she will lead us to more victory and gold. Why did she lose to Sexy? We didn't lose to Sexy Star. No. We lost interest in Sexy Star. The things that we did. They were so funny. But Sexy, our time has passed. It's not you. It's me. I found a new challenge. Someone much more deadlier. I'll see you soon, Solitaire.
Long done but never forgotten. Lucha Underground.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Was his sister? Was that Thunder Rosa?
It was cheerleader Melissa.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember it was like different tribes. So Thunder Rosa was the Serpentine tribe, or the kind of like snake or reptile.
Yeah.
Because that's where Luchasaurus comes from, right? He wasn't Luchasaurus.
Exactly.
He had like an actual gimmick name. But again, there's a beauty of that arena. The crowd for Luchasaurus, when he came out with Thunder Rosa, they wouldn't chant that name. They would go Luchasaurus.
Really?
And it stuck. It was a literal fan creation, his name.
Wow. Awesome. I didn't know that. Wow, that's cool.
But anyway, thoughts on Marty the Moth Martinez. Greg, I'm gonna start with you because it's a different time and era, and this is a very produced promo too.
So one thing about Lucha Underground, I was not a fan. So I'll be honest, I don't think I was ready for it at the time. So as a fan, to me, it was too comic booky and too produced at that moment. I think it was well ahead of its time. Today, I think it'd blow up. Over the last few years, I think it would blow up. I just think it was ahead of its time, and and again, I'm admitting myself. I've gone back and watched some of it, and I enjoy it more in the last couple of years when I've gone back to watch some of that stuff than I did back then. So I'm not as familiar with him, like Marty the Moth. That promo was awesome, and translate to today. Like if he did that today, it would be as good, if not better, than half the stuff that's out there. And I can see the Bray Wyatt parallels. Like where you would want it. Not that they're the same, because they're not, but they're still like that out there character. I thought that was great. it was produced well. I don't feel like it was overly produced. It was produced really well.
Yeah.
And he was carrying that wonderfully. That conversation by himself. Well, kind of with the figure, but but I thought it was really, it was very well done. So I enjoyed that. Like, it made me want to go look him up and go, man, where is he at? What happened?
That's the point.
Yeah, apparently he's a power slapper now, for what it's worth. So, I looked them up because I hadn't looked them up in a minute. But to your point, the guy who was writing, or one of the head writers for the show, the head writer, I guess, was Krista Joseph, who used to write for WWE, or Big Dick Johnson, if you look at those clips. But I went to one of his Q&A, which is very few people showed up, which was awesome because I got to ask a lot of questions. And one of the things that came out of it was just kind of what led up to the production and how much they had to work with the El Rey execs to basically let them know, hey, we understand wrestling, so we can get the hardcores or the consistent viewers. They'll spread the word for you. They'll tell the masses what this program is, and they'll get it across. But he spoke actually about Martin here. Martin Casals is his real name, but he said he was actually scheduled originally to be Mil Muertes, which was basically their Undertaker.
Really?
Yeah. In the original episodes, he was there. But if I'm recalling correctly, I don't know if it had a direct impact, but I know that they had some issues with visas or getting I know it was Penta and Phoenix and a third wrestler who originally were going to launch like a big angle to start the series. And the visas didn't come through. So I said we had the hot shot Morrison versus Prince Puma or Ricochet.
Wow.
And Ricochet was actually his number one pick to start the company, because obviously he was blowing up on the indies and whatnot. And it's like, hey, like, we can put you under a mask. Like, that's easy,
Right.
And they had set design and the whole thing. So it was, man, that whole production just never got its due, in my opinion, ultimately. But,
yeah, for sure.
But I'm glad that you're taking the chance to look back on it, because it is a time capsule of like, just they did a lot. The later seasons, maybe not so much, but in the beginning, it definitely held its ground, and I'd put it against a lot of shows at this point. Adrian, you remember it a little bit more. I think you remembered him.
I was a huge fan of Lucha Underground. And that brings me to a point where I'm like, today's pro wrestling needs a Lucha Underground. Something that's so unique and such a step away from just traditional pro wrestling. That's what made Lucha Underground so addictive watching it, because it wasn't wrestling. Like, it was like what you said, Greg, like a comic book. It was vignettes like that were produced in a style that was so unique from what we would watch 2013, 2014 Monday Night Raw. It became so formulaic. Lucha Underground was a breath of fresh air. And once you watched it another week, you're just hooked because of so many different characters that you're being introduced to. Whether or not you're familiar with their work in the independents, I had no idea who Penta was before Lucha Underground. I damn sure knew him once he got to Atlanta post Lucha Underground, worked for Mucha Lucha, but I didn't know about half of those guys that were on Lucha Underground. And thank goodness for it, because I was locked in watching that weekly. That was my favorite. And I remember I used to say it on Twitter, this is the best pro wrestling show out right now. And it's barely much of any wrestling, but when they do give you matches, you're getting clips of some really cool looking stuff. And that was the draw of it, man. It was the draw of it. It was awesome. I will say, not enough credit, even though it was done at a lesser, far grungier rate. Wrestling Society X.
Oh yeah.
Right, of course. Predecessor, 100%.
Yeah, those are two examples of something that was so far away from the norm in pro wrestling. But when you look at it now, it's like, man, these guys are actually doing things that today's pro wrestling could dibble and dabble in, and I guarantee it'll blow up, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you think about Lucha Underground. This is one of the things I did think about way back. I don't think you get the Broken Universe production value and the cinematic movie, the cinematic matches without Lucha Underground.
Yeah,
that to me is a precursor to that.
Yeah,
it's a over the top, and when I say that, like, because Lucha Underground had a lot of that over the top storylines, behind the scenes, suspend your disbelief, soap opera-ish stuff. And I think that was that. It would be great to do a show one day just on that, about the influence of what they've had on the business, whether directly or indirectly. And I just think the same thing with Wrestling Society X. They just came along at the wrong time. I think if they came along today where wrestling's hot, WWE is still on fire. I don't care what anybody says. It's okay. Is it 2 years ago? No, but it's still beyond belief what
you can
what
make
it's
money.
doing.
It's money.
They
out
operate
there.
in a different
Money
sphere
out
over
there.
here. Yeah,
They're doing well. AEW is doing better than they have been the last couple of years, right? And much better. I feel like New Japan's kind of had a little bit of a bounce back. TNA's been doing well. I think now, and AAA, let's don't get it twisted. They're putting out some good stuff. If you had a Lucha Underground, or to your point, of Wrestling Society X, but that type of show come out now would be better. Back then it was an alternate, but you had lost so many fans. You lost so many fringe fans. Those programs I didn't feel like would bring in that fringe fan or that lapsed fan. But
plus,
this
Wrestling Society X was on MTV.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a niche of a niche within.
Yeah.
You know.
And but now I think if you brought one of these in, especially if it had a little bit of a partnership, whatever, like a little cross promotion with a TNA, or not necessarily WWE or AEW, but just something that kind of ties it in.
Yeah.
I think, man, it could blow up. I mean, let's call it what it is. TNA blows up because WWE helped. Throwing Trick over there, throwing other people over there, sharing
100%.
talent. If you did that with some of these others into something like that universe, that'd be sick.
Right. And it was fan friendly too. I think that's the big thing for like a Wrestling Society X, for like a Lucha Underground, for these kind of more niche, to your point, promotions. They catered to the fan because they knew they needed the fan to elevate it, to take it to that space.
Absolutely.
And if you guys will give me a moment here, I want to share one last picture just came to mind. For longtime listeners and watchers, y'all know that I've shared stories about my pops over here and taking them and almost getting them killed by a cannonball into the crowd and breaking kayfabe. It's fun. I love going to shows with my dad. It's been a minute, but one of the cool things was they do these in-store appearances because shout out to the Wrestling Guy store out in Huntington Park. David took my dad here. You're seeing on screen. The listeners can't see it. This is Drago and Aerostar with my dad. And and they were chill and they were super cool. And my dad, he's a very chill guy. And it's like, and he got a lot of starstruck. He didn't fully know who they were. He's old school lucha, but back at the Grand Olympic and whatnot. But they were in full gimmick and everything, dude. They came ready. They weren't in like a t-shirt and the mask. They were like, nah, we're going in full gimmick here. But they were totally cool dudes. Yeah, if y'all don't know, they're related. So awesome. It was also dope to see them. And one of the greatest spots in that company is seeing Aerostar go up on a forklift effectively, and then take this crazy bump basically off the forklift.
That was just such a nut. That show was nutty, man. Like it was literally insane. That show may have birthed the Adrian Strip Club test because the bartenders used to put on Lucha Underground for me. And people would say, man, what the hell is that? And I'm explaining the stories and all that. Yeah, man. Heck yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, thank you guys for kind of going down this memory lane trip, bringing in some of the guys that you've met before, the promos for them. This was fun to me. I mean, this this is where our connection is, right? Is what we look
Yeah.
at. This is how we became fans, and then do we become starstruck or whatever? But we enjoy meeting these guys, and I know I can speak for myself. It's this, even going down this whole little trip is like, man, we could do this, a whole series of these. I mean, there's just so
yeah,
many
man.
we could
Yeah.
do, and it's so
Heck
much
yeah.
fun to hear that. But hey, listeners and viewers, put in the comments, hit us up, share some of your pictures if you have some, and who did you enjoy meeting, and who didn't you enjoy meeting? Maybe I can convince them to come out and tell us who we didn't enjoy one day. But because I'm about to tell them one off camera. But but thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, do all that kind of stuff. You know all the drill. But thank you for Out of Lead, for Adrian. I'm Greg. This is Talk 'em in the Building. Peace. Have a good one.
You don't know what